The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, is an anime fantasy film directed by Kenji Kamiyama, based on the characters and world of Middle-earth created by J.R.R. Tolkien. Produced by New Line Cinema, the film is set 183 years before Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings film trilogy, and tells the story of Helm Hammerhand, a legendary king of Rohan, and his family as they defend their kingdom. When they are suddenly attacked, Helm Hammerhand and his people must make a daring last stand. Finding herself in an increasingly desperate situation, Hera, the daughter of Helm, must summon the will to lead the resistance against a deadly enemy from her past, intent on their total destruction in the name of revenge for the death of his father. This review will be spoiler-free. This film doesn't deserve the name. I have heard that this film was released in order for the studio to retain IP rights, and I honestly haven't looked into that, but I am not surprised if that is the case. I am a big fan of anime, and I have always hoped it would become more of an attraction for general audiences in the West. I would claim it to be mainstream for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, but it has never lit up the box office. There are certainly examples, such as Demon Slayer Mugen Train, Your Name, Spirited Away, Suzume, and The Boy and the Heron, all making between 300 million and over 500 million at the worldwide box office. But it isn't too common. I had hoped that attaching a massive franchise name to an anime project would be a great way of expanding the anime audience, but this film is bombing at the box office, and it is not just due to its tepid marketing. The animation for this film is lazy. The characters lack detail and expression, and the cinematography and choreography is lackluster. This looks like a series rather than a movie. It should have been a series, at least that way I'd be okay with it looking this cheap. Another reason why it should have been a series is because it is a monotonous story, and while they give a lot of time to talking, they never use that talking to build the characters. It's just a lot of plot exposition. The characters are paper thin, the best one being the villain, who had potential despite how generic he was. The action sequences felt like the large-scale ones that you would expect from a Lord of the Rings film, but they failed to attach me emotionally before launching into those sequences, so I was bored during them, and they all take a very long time. In fact, there are a few moments where they want me to be emotional, and I'm sometimes actually laughing. There's one particular moment that I can't spoil that has to do with a character fighting off some other people in front of a gate, like in the ice, and I laughed out loud. It was hilarious the way that sequence finished. This whole film felt lazy because it doesn't actually utilize the anime medium. There's no point in it being an anime. Most of the film is characters standing around talking, which doesn't yield much opportunity for elaborate or gorgeous animation. This should have been on the level of Attack on Titan, and that's not even a movie, that's a series. As far as how it fits into the Lord of the Rings canon, aside from a few groan-worthy references to the larger franchise and characters in Act 3, it doesn't really feel like it is part of the Lord of the Rings franchise. It doesn't have much in the way of fantasy in it. It could have easily been an original historical epic that is set in our world, and it wouldn't really feel any different, aside from a few fantastical beasts. The idea of exploring a protagonist that made real change and yet the history books have ignored is an infinitely interesting idea, because there are many groundbreaking people throughout history that have not received their due credit. It is a realistic approach to a character caught up in the whirlwind of change. However, it is a dangerous concept because it can allow a callow writer to do whatever they want without considering canon. It doesn't really disrupt the canon, but there are a few things that happen in Act 3 that do make it hard to believe that this character won't be mentioned going forward. I was rooting for this one, but if you aren't going to put effort into your product, then you don't really deserve a good return on it. And if it was truly made with the sole intention of retaining IP rights, then I guess the studio doesn't care if it makes money anyway. Still, it is another blow to the anime industry in regard to its big screen potential in the Western market. I hope other studios don't feel discouraged by this, because with the proper time and care, an anime film set in Tolkien's Middle-earth could have been amazing.